And we've got some polling results to share with you guys. So one of the things they do while they are at CPAC is they poll CPACers. And they poll them about all kinds of things. One interesting question, and this may be the question you tuned in to find out about, is if the 2024 Republican primary for president were held today, for whom would you vote? That was the question put to CPAC attendees. And they asked them this question a couple different ways. The first way they asked them, Donald Trump was not one of the names that was included. So there were
Donald Trump Sr.
Number of names. Donald Trump Sr., yeah, thank you. Was not included. Running away with the, I was going to ask you two to guess, but you were there, so you know the answer. Far and away, quadrupling his nearest opponent was Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. 43% of CPAC attendees said, hey, that's the guy, if today were the day, that's the guy I would want. Next up, South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, and she came in at 11%, and at a modest 8% was Don Jr.,
who I don't think is going to run for president.
So, yeah, I agree. I don't think he is. Yeah, we could toss him out, and we could say Pompeo and Cruz were the next two, tied at 7 each. So what is it about DeSantis? I mean, that's huge. You can't ignore DeSantis in this. And Kristi Noem's been a great governor. She's kept her state mostly open, too. What is it about DeSantis?
Well, I mean, I think he strikes that balance we were just talking about so perfectly well. The guy with broad shoulders and hard elbows. I mean, he added new things to the discussion when it came to COVID response. His state did a perfectly average job. I mean, we're not talking about, excellent, amazing, fantastic. The people who want to over-defend him, I think, are doing all of us a disservice by saying he was the best governor on the issues. It's not the case. The results don't show that.
We all know Andrew Cuomo was the best governor.
Oh, of course, the most amazing. Him and Newsom in a tight race for the top. But like DeSantis, he did a fantastically average job. The state did
fantastically.
The state did great.
I'm not.
I don't even think he did an average job.
Yeah, I don't either. Is there somebody?
I'm speaking strictly in terms of numbers. I'm speaking strictly in terms of numbers. They were right in the middle of the.
But you also got to realize Florida's a huge.
Is a huge state.
Yeah.
And again, and a very old population.
Yeah.
I think this poll, we have to recognize, the event was in Florida for the first time ever, so there may be a little bit of a bias for
very
probably
Florida
more
figures.
Floridians attending than any other state.
It's an easy drive for him, so I think that's got to be taken into account. But he did a good job. He did a great job, and he is fun. He's interesting. He'll take those shots at the media when they've been hounding him, trying to say that he didn't do a good job with COVID. So I think he kills for that same reason. What worries me is Don Jr., because I think he kind of reveals the interest of all people in creating like this political dynasty. We hate the Clintons. We hate the Bushes. Why on earth is there a human interest?
We hate the Bush dynasty.
In creating this kind of.
But that's a really small. I mean,
Look, it's just recency. It's just who you know. So it's like Donald Trump is the most well-known, probably maybe conservative politician, maybe politician in America. And Donald Trump Jr. is his son, who shares his name, who's very active on Instagram and Twitter and social media, and he's on Fox News all the time. So of course people know who he is. Yeah. In terms of Governor DeSantis, you have to realize you said he did an average job. You have to realize Florida's not South Dakota or Wyoming or any of those states. But I really do agree with you in terms of the policy, right? So here's a guy who has really he is a fighter, right? In how conservatives say we need a fighter.
Yes.
Ben Carson, not to name drop again, but no, a different thing. Ben Carson told me, what I asked, what do conservatives need? Well, what could conservatives be positive about? And he said, if you fight, you will win.
Yes.
And I think that Ron DeSantis encapsulates that perfectly. He did not back down when the media and the Democrats called him every name in the book when he was, responsible for COVID deaths.
Kill him.
Grandma killer, anything you can. And it wasn't because he didn't care about COVID. This guy has done a great job with, I think, vaccinations. He's done a great job with keeping the numbers in his state not skyrocketing. Yep. Florida is a it's a very old state. A lot of senior citizens live in Florida. And yet, he's also not a boring guy. We spoke, Andrew, and I will be done in a second, so forgive me. Andrew, we spoke a little bit about Rick Scott, another guy we interviewed, right? Who's maybe not, he's another Florida Republican, but he's maybe not a culture warrior, right? He's not the kind of guy who can attack the media and attack the Democrats in that way and get away with it. 'Cause, I think it comes off as a little bit insincere because that's not what Rick Scott is.
No.
Rick Scott is a guy who's going to run your state well, solve problems, have policy solutions, and actually do a dang good job.
Yes.
Governor DeSantis strikes the balance where he's both of those things, right? He can talk about culture war. He can talk about the media and, how the Democrats, their plan for America. But he can also get things done in the same way that Rick Scott does. It's like he's a mixture of, you take Ted Cruz or, Rand Paul, one of my favorite politicians. You take Rand Paul and you cross him with Rick Scott and you get Ron DeSantis.